Hi guys, so this is lesson 3. Our learning objective today is to develop an understanding for accidentals, and our success criteria is to successfully recognize sharps and flat notes and also identify notes on the piano. Before we continue, can we make sure we have the following resources: a pen and a pencil, a green pen, a paper to write on, or if you prefer, a new Word document open. And then finally, this is actually a bit of a trick question. So if you got this, very well done. If you didn't, do not worry. So it's name the following notes. So first we've got the bass clef, and secondly we've got the treble clef. Okay, so for the bass clef, remember the method of finding a note that you already know and then just counting up in steps. So if we remember the sequence here, we've got good, burritos don't fall apart. So we know the top line is A. What's the space after that? It's going to be B, and the space after that is going to be C. Yeah, exactly the same thing again for the treble clef. So every good bogey deserves flicky. We know the bottom line is an E, so we count backwards, or at least we move backwards in steps. So it's D and C. So we've got C and C. And if you remember from last week, in the grand staff, the top ledger line for the bass clef is C, is middle C, which is essentially the center of your piano. And the bottom ledger line for the treble clef is also middle C. So it ends up working or moving in sequence into each other. Okay. This is kind of another recall activity for you to be able to better memorize the things we've done so far. So we've got a paragraph here. And what I want you to do is pause the video and fill in the blanks using the keywords below. So let's go from the top then. We've got a clef is a musical symbol used to indicate which notes are represented by the lines and spaces. If you put spaces and lines, that's absolutely fine. It's still the same thing on a musical stave. Yeah? When a clef is placed on a stave, it assigns a particular note to one of the last 5 lines. So because we all like cheesy videos, I've now got a cheesy video for you to listen to help you to better understand the notes on the piano. Now, I always find cheesy videos help with that and get things stuck into your head. So if something gets stuck into your head, I think that's a good thing when it comes to learning. So here we go. Enjoy.
C is to the left of the 2 black keys. C is to the left of the 2 black keys. Some people drink coffee, some people drink tea. Other people like their toast with a little piece of cheese. But C is to the left of the 2 black keys. C is to the left of the 2 black keys. C is to the left of the 2 black keys. C is to the left of the 2 black keys. Some people drink coffee, some people drink tea. Other people like their toast with a little piece of cheese. But C is to the left of the 2 black keys. C is to the left of the 2 black keys.
And there we go. So here's a picture, or at least a diagram, of the piano. Now, if you look at the piano, the first time I looked at a piano, right, I was very confused by the amount of notes, but there's a way to break it down. Firstly, we know now that we've got 2 black notes, 3 black notes, 2 black notes, 3 black notes, and so on. Okay, so it repeats. From the song or the video you've just looked at a second ago, we know that C is to the left of the 2 black keys. So anytime you see 2 black keys by themselves, we go to the left-hand side of that, we know that's going to be a C. Okay, so a way to break this down, I put some lines here just to break the piano up into different sections. Now, You notice from each line, it just repeats. That is literally all the piano is. It's a variation of these 12 notes here and 8 white notes. Okay. So a method on being able to work out the rest of the notes is exactly as we have been doing for the staves. So once you know one note, we work through the musical alphabet. We know the musical alphabet is A to G. So A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and then it repeats again. So if we're starting from C, we just work up the musical alphabet. So we know this is C to the left of the 2 black keys. So the next white note is going to be D. The next white note after that is going to be E, F, G, A, B, and then we're back where we started again, C. Now, anytime we go up 8 notes all together, so from C to C, this is called an octave. Okay. Octopus have 8 legs. An octave is every 8 notes. Okay. And obviously, the further to the right hand side of the piano that we go, it's going to get higher in pitch. And the further to the left hand side of the piano we're going to go is lower in pitch. So we know that this C here is going to be lower than this C here. This C here is higher than that C there. Yeah. So what note is this? Once again, C, D, E, F, G. What note is this? We know that's C. Move up the musical alphabet. It's D. Yeah. What note is this? We know this is C. Let's move backwards in the musical alphabet. Jumping over the line. Sorry, gone past that. We know it's a B. Yeah. It's as simple as that. Okie dokie. So to test your knowledge so far then, using that same method, working out where C is. C is to the left of the 2 black keys, moving up in sequence and working out what each one of these notes are, where the stars are. So if we put 1 to 4 on our sheets and answer the following questions and pause the video. So for question 1, C is to the left of the 2 black keys. We know this is C, D, E. Well done if you got that right. C, the number 2, D, E, F. We know this is G, which we did a second ago. Well done again. Number 3, C, D, E, F, G, A, B. Easy. You've got this. C is to the left of the 2 black keys. C, go to the right hand side of that. We know the next one is going to be D. Okay, give yourself a mark out of 4. So far, we've been able to identify the notes on the piano. So the next step now is to successfully recognize sharps and flat notes. Okay, so to be able to recognize sharp and flat notes, we first need to know what a semitone is. Now, a semitone is a note directly next to another note. So that includes now the black notes. This is one thing we've not touched on yet, and this is what we're going to get some knowledge on, which is good. So anytime we move to the note directly next to, well, let's move from C up to this first black note. Okay, this is called a semitone. And an interval, which is the title here, is essentially the distance between 2 different notes. So this is a semitone interval. Okay, so a semitone includes any note directly next to another. Okay, now you'll notice C has a black note next to it. D has 2 black notes next to it. E does not, but E to F is still classed as a semitone because it is the note directly next to itself. This symbol here is a semitone, 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 semitone. Yeah, no matter which way, whether we go up or down. Okay, semitone. Okay, so for the next step. So what is a sharp and what is a flat? Now, a sharp and a flat, once again, we can find a sharpened version or a flattened version of a note when we move left or right of a note. Okay, so you'll see here that sharp notes are represented by this hashtag looking symbol. So we know that if we move to the right hand side of C, we've got C sharp or C hashtag, yeah, C sharp. D, move to the right hand side of D, we've got D sharp. E does not have a sharp. B also does not have a sharp. Now, in some types of music theory, or in music theory, we have something called a scale. This is something we will touch upon in another lesson, but to save confusion, let's just stick with E so far does not have a sharp, and B also does not have a sharp, okay? F has a sharp, G has a sharp, and A has a sharp, okay? Now, if we move the opposite way, which is this small B looking symbol, this is what we call flats. So we flatten a note. We move to the left hand side of B, we've got B flat. Move to the left hand side of A, we've got A flat. Move to the left hand side of G, G flat. F does not have a flat, but E does have a flat. E flat, D flat. C does not have a flat, which is B. Okay. So sharps to the right hand side of a note, flats to the left hand side of a note. Okay. Flats are found to the left, sharps are found to the right. And these are the symbols that represent them. Okay. Now you'll notice that there is a G sharp and there's also a G flat. It depends which direction you go. And you'll also notice as well that A flat is the same as G sharp. Now, this is when we start to get into scales, which I don't want to confuse you too much. Just know that there are sometimes two different names for one particular note. Okay. It depends which direction we move. Yeah. So try and memorize that. Sharps to the right, hashtag. Yeah. Flats to the left, small b. Okay. Good job so far. So let's put this to the test. Using the same method again, I want you to try and name the notes. Now remember, if we first figure out what the note is, so first we know C is to the left of the two black keys. You know this is C. So moving right, it's going to be some type of sharp. Okay, and then we need to work out what this note is. To the left is going to be some type of some type of flat. Okay. This might be a tricky one for you, but there's only one way to get good at things. So good luck with this. Pause the video and we'll go through the answers after. So for question one, let's first figure out what the natural note is. So when I say natural, this is when it's not a sharp or not a flat, a natural note. So we know this is C and we know this is D. So we go to the right-hand side of C, we get C sharp. So if you've got C sharp, well done. If you go to the left-hand side of D, we've got D flat. So it's C sharp or D flat for the first one. Yeah? C and D, move to the right of C, C sharp, move to the left-hand side of D, D flat. And hopefully by now you'll start to memorize and recognize how to work out these notes themselves. Okay, so for question two, let's do it again. So we've got C, D, E, F. Okay, so we move to the right hand side of F. We've got F sharp, F, G. Left hand side of G, we've got G flat. F sharp or G flat. Okay, the next one. We've got C, D, E, F, G, A. Right hand side of A sharp. We know this is B. Left hand side of B, B flat. There we go. A sharp or B flat. And for the final question, C and D. So right hand side of D, D sharp. We know this is an E. Left hand side of E, we've got E flat. There we go. This is one of the trickier ones for you. And I know that it's probably going to be complicated for some people, and that's absolutely fine. When I first learned how to do this and discovered these methods, it was very difficult for me as well. But it's a case of just repetition. You will get there, so do not worry. Okay. So I'm not going to go too much into this because I've already thrown a lot of information at you so far. So we know what a semitone is. We know that a semitone is a note directly next to another, including the whites, including the blacks. Okay. Semitone, 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 semitone. Okay. There's something called a tone. Now, a tone is when we skip a note. So there's always a note in the middle, including the whites and including the blacks. Okay. So from C to D, we're skipping C sharp and D sharp. Yeah, this is a tone. From D to E, once again, we're skipping a note. There's a note in the middle. D to E is a tone. Okay. E to F, there's no note in the middle. So we know now that's actually a semitone. Okay. F to G, note in the middle, tone. No, that's a tone because there's no in the middle. Tone again, note in the middle. Semitone, no note in the middle. So let's take C sharp and D sharp. Okay. That's a tone as well. Why? Because D's in the middle now. Yeah. Once again, F sharp to G sharp, we've got G in the middle. So that's a tone as well. From that note to that note, G in the middle, that's a tone. Okay. And you're probably thinking, sir, why are you telling us this? Because in our next lesson, we'll be going into major scales. Now, scales are a massively important thing. It's a pattern. It's a pattern of different notes that can create essentially different moods. Now, all the popular songs you've ever listened to use some form of a scale. Okay. And within a scale, we can start to piece together something called a chord, if you know what that is, and also in combination with a melody. Now, if it wasn't for a scale, everything would sound out of key and would sound shocking. So, what makes a song popular is when it sounds in key and you have a catchy melody. And this is all based around a scale. Once you know your scales, everything else, when it comes to music creation, becomes an adventure and a dream because you can create anything then. Once you know your scales, you can create pretty much anything. Okay. So, remember, this is the pattern we'll come to next week. We've got tone, when we've got a note in the middle, and a semitone is the note directly next to each other. So, last and final question. If I had D sharp or E flat, this note here, and I went to F, what is that? Is that a semitone or is that a tone? It's a tone because we have E in the middle. If I went from B to C, what is that? Semitone. Well done. If I went from E to F sharp, is that a tone or a semitone? It's a tone because we're moving from, we've got F in the center, essentially. Okay. Note in the middle, it's a tone. Yeah. Now, that's a lot of information for you guys today. I hope you got this. All the best trying to push this knowledge even further. Next week, we'll start to get into even more interesting things again with notation. We've now discovered today what a sharp and a flat is. Remember, the sharps are the hashtags looking symbols, and the flat is essentially the small b. Move to the left of a note, you flatten a note. Move to the right hand side of a note, and you sharpen a note. Okay. Well done today. Hope you have a great week. And yep, we'll be on to major scales next week and different patterns as such as that. Okay. Well done, guys. Take care. Goodbye.